Hello and welcome to Edge Components. Over the past year and a half, I've been on a little saddle spree, breaking saddles. Have two XLRs here of different colors, but they're the same model and width. I have this Celly SLR that's the padding's been gutted off. You can see on this one, there's a crack propagating right there. This one, broken here. That one, broken right there. Have you ever wondered to yourself how they make a saddle? Or would you want to make a saddle? Well, we'll see if we can answer that question.
So what we're going to do is we're going to model a seat or a seat pan on both of these saddles. So the rider wants the rear of this with
Actually, it was
the other way around.
Yeah. I wanted this nose with this rear.
So first thing we're going to do is we're going to do mark out on our sheet here. This sheet is 6061 T6. 095, which equates to 14 gauge. Millimeters, that would be, I think, like a mil and a half or a mil and change.
1.2 or something.
Yeah, it's thick, and doesn't have to be that thick, but
according to my saddle breaking spree, best for insurance.
Well, that's the thinnest I have right now, so that's what you're stuck with. It's going to take a little bit of time to dry, so in the meantime, we'll get some other prep done.
That's a nice thick layer of Dicom.
Yeah. So while this is drying, we're going to tape these up, or actually one of these. We don't, since these two are the same, we'll just use one. We'll get it taped, put some markings on it, and then from there we'll take measurements and then transfer those measurements from what we want on both these saddles to plate, mark out the profile or shape. And then once that's done, we'll get the shape cut out and then go to forming. So with that, we'll start with the tape. So what I'm going to do here is mark off every 1/2 inch. The more points, the more you can get the shape that you want closer. So we're just going to guess center, which would probably be here. Okay, so tape it. Pretty close on the end, and then we'll have the nose. But basically we're going to use each one of these graduations as a measuring point from right to left all the way down as we measure for width. Length will be 1/2 inch increments all the way down. And then we'll take this one, do the same thing. We know the length of each of these saddles from the manufacturer's spec sheet, but generally they are 140 some centimeters. I mean 140 some millimeters.
Like two.
Or no, 240.
They're around 200.
So we're like 260.
265.
So the XLR is 265.
Yes.
And this one is probably about the same. Almost 275.
Okay, so that one's 275.
So okay, dry. So we're gonna do this real quick. So now what we'll do is start measuring. So we have a seat width of approximately 170 mil. So just do it here. That's 170, 180, 90. Make that center.
I'd like to add too, though, when they usually measure these, they're flat across. So this would be like a 125 or 130. But when area is measured, to get the pan's area, it needs to be measured across with a flexible tape.
We'll take the seat will be center lined on this sheet. We'll take all our measurements off from the center line, left to right. Length doesn't matter because we'll trim the length when we get all the contours and everything. So we're going to take the front of one and the back of the other. So this one is
Just the back.
back half. Okay. So start doing our markings. There may be an easier way of doing this, but right now this is the way I'm doing it. So we've got 20 ticks. This one's at 21, 22. So we'll work on the other side of that. So we're going to use up pretty much the whole width of the sheet. Okay. Now, let's call this rear, front. So, starting at 0. So one thing about this C is because it has a pad on it, and we're not actually measuring off the seat pan itself or the shell. Whatever this contour profile length is, we're going to have to subtract probably a few mil.
Probably
Probably like 5 mil off the length on each one of these measurements, probably throughout the whole thing. Yeah, I think so. So I just start at, so from here, from center to corner is about 40 centimeters. If I do it from here, it ends up being 35. So what we do is we take to 35. So that's our first mark. Onto our marking 1. Looking at 50 minus 5, 5. And we'll keep doing this, so on and so forth, until we get to the end. Somewhere along the way, we'll make a transition from this saddle to finish to the nose. Right now, on the side profile, we have this cut here at between 8 and 9, this transition, whereas this one has a gradual all the way down to the nose, so there's no cut, or there's no there's no hard transition. Where do you want the transition? How far?
Probably about, you could probably do 8 or 9 around here.
Same place?
Yeah, that's what we did. Believe so. Yeah. It was somewhere between maybe like 9.
Okay. So we have 60. 62 minus 5 is 57. Now I'm going to make it clear that these markings are more or less approximations, because we're not measuring off the seat pan itself or the actual shell. And so when we put all this together and make the actual seat, we're going to, it's not going to come out exactly shaped like either of these. It's more or less going to be a composite. So the end result isn't going to be like, oh, this made out of a sheet of aluminum in exactly the same contours or shape. We're just trying to get what feels good for the rider at the back and the front and transfer those shapes and contours to an aluminum pan or shell. Four. What would be really nice was we have one of those fancy smanchy
3D scanners?
3D scanners, but a little cash.
Marker and tape make me the scanner I ain't.
Yeah, we'll see how well this comes out, eh? Without the fancy stuffs.
Spoiler alert, we already know.
Yeah.
This has already been done.
It's already out in the wild.
Yeah.
50.
If you are watching this video and have seen something, don't ruin the surprise.
So somewhere between 8 and 9 on both of these seats, actually maybe 8, 9, or 10, there's an overlap. So what I'm going to do is find where they overlap on these ticks and then continue on to the nose. So this is 57. 4. So between 8, 9. 9 was 57. So we'll take it off of 10. 7. 40. Now the measurements off of this are going to be a little bit more accurate because there's no padding. It's all been stripped off. So we're measuring directly off the shell. And so we don't have to make any, we don't have to do any subtraction. We just measure it as is. 50.
If you're wondering why the padding was stripped off of that, it was because it was pretty uncomfortable. It had a ridge in it, so we stripped it off and I was running that for a while before it cracked. When you start hearing something creak on your bike that you cannot find or haven't found, start looking at the carbon. Especially thin carbon, it starts to make lots of little noises, and it's very consistent in that. So is the XLR shells too. In nylon, when they start to creak, that's usually something broken. I'm not afraid of running saddles without padding. That's why I can make one out of aluminum. We'll see how this goes. There's a bit of history here.
So we've got our tick marks. We've got all our measurements on the side. So we've got our center line, our tick marks, and all our measurements checked off all around. So we've got one side of the seat. Now we're gonna take all these measurements and go transfer them to the other side so we get a proper symmetrical shape.
Or you can half-ass it.
Yeah, fold it in half and then
Yeah.
cut it out. Sure.
Since you're right-handed, I'm gonna move the camera to the other side.
So right now when we get to number 8 and number 9, you get to number 9, there's 2 marks here. Because the transition from one seat to the other seat is further apart on the side, on the side profile, which is this section here versus this section here. So what we're going to do, or what I'm going to do, is actually make the transition from number 7 to number 9. See, like, just mark here, and mark here, and number 9. Here's number 8, here's number 7. I'm going to draw it out so that from here all the way down is going to be a gradual curve rather than a cut. Now, later on, should I decide to make this section here more like this section here, I can always go back and just chop it out and then redo the curve after the cut. So it's easier to remove material than to add back in should something happen. So we'll just make it a gradual curve like this one, and then once the profile is cut out, then we'll see what happens when we go to form or curve the seat out at the end, whether or not we want to remove material. So now we got our marks transferred from side to side. We have a symmetrical template. Now we're going to connect the dots. The back half should be easy. The front half is going to be a little more difficult. Back half, what we're going to do is we're just going to draw a straight line. So that makes it easy. But once we start getting into the transition area down here, it'll take a little bit more effort to get a nice curve going. But there's an easy way to get around that. And I'll show you that in a minute. And you know what? I won't even bother doing it. I'm just going to make all the curves. So what we have here is French curve. This will help us get all these tick marks put together as closely as possible on both sides. See where we're at. So this is number 4, 5. This one. This look. Number 4. We'll just do it this way. So this is mark 5, and what we're going to do is we're going to take this template, and we're going to try to hit as many as these marks as possible to get a nice curve going. And I'll probably take a little bit of trial and error to get it, but we'll see where we end up. It's 2. Now we'll start on this side. Try to hit as many of these points as possible, all the way down to the nose. Take this side, start from there, here. Now, as you can see, I didn't hit all these marks. And really, when this gets cut out, it probably won't really matter, because what's going to happen is I'm going to blend in this point here so that you get a nicer run on both sides. Those will probably be this corner will be taken out, and this one will too, as is this one and this one. So we're going to refine it. We're going to refine the shape after this gets cut out, so that it gets blended. All these curves get blended in a little bit better. But overall, this is going to be our starting point to get the saddle shaped, curved, and everything dialed in, length and width. Now, right now, when you look at these points here, it does look wide, but you have to kind of remember that eventually what's going to happen is when this is cut out, we're going to bend in the edges so that you're not sitting on an actual edge where, you know, it's going to catch your bibs or whatever, your shorts. It's going to have a nice curve to it. So now the nose, we have 3 more points left. If I'm going to bring this around and connect both sides up, and we can do that either freehanded, or we can use another template to get a nicer shape going. Potentially that one. Not too bad.
And right here, I'll add in a little bit of subtle foreshadowing.
My guess is you're not going to have a front.
It's going to be a stub nose?
It's going to stub.
Run it. Yeah.
They can't save it now.
Yeah, I know. Just run it. It'll be a stub nose.
Okay.
Nice.
Not quite even here, but like I said, this will all get refined once the plate gets cut out. And there you have it. That's the first step. Next, we'll be cutting it out. After that, edges will be rolled. And then either the contours will be put in first or the edges will be rolled. I'm not sure which one I'm going to do first. We'll figure that out when I get to that portion of the build.
And they'll be in the next episode.
Thanks for watching.
Hello, welcome to Niche Components. Today, this is a little video of
Seats, broken seats.
Making saddles.
Broken saddle.
Broken saddle. Here, check this out. So, I have this saddle here. It's a Selly XLR. This for off-road. And where is it? It's right. So here's a good angle. There's that one. cracked. All right. And then if you I have this saddle that cracked right here. Let's see if I can. It's also got a crack on the other side. This one's a bare carbon one. We have this saddle that cracked.
Fat ass.